Like so nervous, so scared, and I just went out there and played. I played well enough that they gave me the start the following game, and the second play of the game, my first touchdown was a something yard touchdown.
Better late than never, better late than never, forever hard to measure. I might see my future fall away, but you control time, so my future do what you say. Well, Eugene, welcome, bro. How you doing, big dog?
Man, I'm doing well. Always an honor to talk to a former teammate who went through the trenches and kind of know some of the background. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Before we kind of got online, I kind of told you a little bit about the heart behind just wanting to have these conversations. As a career coach, I strongly believe that like God's people just get stuck in life, and I
Yeah,
enjoy helping people get from point A to point B from a career standpoint. But even bigger, I think all of us have a variety of like talents, and sometimes they go uncultivated. And so when I was just thinking about people that I might know, um, who are just operating in their creative gifts and talents. You're one of the first people I thought of, bro. And so I just want to start off there. I want to talk a little bit about like you as a published author. I
okay.
got the
Oh,
trilogy so
nice.
far. I'm gonna ask you a little bit about this last installment. But I
Right.
want to talk like before we get to the actual books, bro. Tell folks who Mr. Eugene Holloman, or let me stop. Dr. Eugene Holloman is. Introduce yourself, who you are, your background, and what you do, bro.
Yeah, man. It's so when people ask me that, I think I'm multifaceted, right? It depends when you met me. But now I am. Furthermore, I'm married, going on 11 years. I have three children. I am. I switched over from healthcare regulatory compliance, and now I'm in cyber compliance. And like you said, man, I've just created so many different lives for myself that I never thought that I would be at. Also obtained my doctorate degree. I can't even remember what year that was. What, 2022, if I recall? 21, I think it was. No, it was during COVID, and I didn't get to graduate. And so I just set goals, and I long goals, and I just try to work to achieve those. And it's not about achieving the goal, is learning who I am, right? In the midst of pursuing something. And so when people ask me about myself, is I'm a goal setter. And I'm a devoted husband and father.
Man, I love that,
Yep.
bro. Definitely want to build on you sort of being a goal setter and like leaning into learning about yourself throughout the process, because I think that's a huge identity trait. Obviously, we play ball together. You
Yeah.
came from 757. I would say I would call you one of the best athletes in Virginia. That's just my bias, bro. I got a chance to see and get dusted by Dr. Holloman firsthand, going around on them in around suites. But tell me about your journey. Kind of like playing sports, man. Like, you were all state athlete in high school, playing at Bayside. But tell us about
Yeah.
your journey playing ball and going to JMU and what that's kind of lended to your own kind of story.
Yeah. So I think I think that the thing about ball is that it was pressed upon myself, right? And I remember when I was like 5 or 6 years old, my father let me stay up late one night. And it was a game between the Raiders and the Cincinnati Bengals, and I never forget it. And Bo Jackson was playing, and I remember telling my dad like that's what I wanted to do,
Mm.
right? And I happened to be naturally gifted as an athlete, and so it was easy for my father to be like, all right, that's what I'm gonna push you towards.
It was good, family. God has called me to help people to align and maximize their calling with their purpose. And one of the ways that I do that is through writing. My first book is called Purpose Driven Work, which focuses on helping people to get unstuck in their dreams, callings, and their careers. My second book is Purpose Driven Coaching, which really focuses on helping educators, leaders, and workforce development professionals to use coaching to make an impact on individuals' lives. And then lastly, my most recent book is called On Purpose Leadership, which I wrote with my homeboy Vad Lee, which focuses on cultivating leadership for teams and organizations. You guys can purchase any one of my books on Amazon. Y'all be blessed out here, man.
I think when I look back on it, right, having my dad there to push me towards that was great. However, I didn't know if I had any other gifts because it was just like football, 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 football. And so from little league to middle school to high school, and I had the fortunate opportunity to get a scholarship and make it to college and play. Right, it was always just football, and that was my entire life, and I just happened to be good at it. But I don't know if that was the gift that God necessarily gave me. It was just a gift that was easy to identify, right? You run fast, definitely in the inner city, and you faster than the other kids. Oh man, you can make it to be such and such because this is who you see on TV. And so I didn't know any better then. And so I pursued it as far as my body allowed me to do it. Ultimately making it to JMU and having the opportunity to even play professionally. I did get injured, and it's one of those blessings in disguise for me because I even in college, I came in. I don't know if you remember this, Q. I came in like six on the depth chart. We had two all conference running backs that just got JMU to a national championship, and so nobody was really like thinking about me. I wasn't highly recruited or anything. I actually came from a junior college. Um, and then I was thrusted into the spotlight because injuries happen. A lot of things kind of took a turn that season, and next thing you know, I was the man on campus, and it was no warm up. It was no one giving me education of what that came with,
Mm.
and I turned my ego got so big that I turned into somebody that I didn't even recognize, and it happened so fast. I was so high in the paper every day, almost getting interviewed every day and then getting injured and being so low. And so I kind of experienced that whole 360 degrees of what it's like being on top and then what it's like being on the bottom.
Man, that's powerful. So it's funny because a lot of folks would assume like being teammates, you know all of the nuts and bolts about everybody in your squad, but you really don't. Like with
No.
100 guys, you don't.
Yeah.
So I know enough about your story playing with you that like unfortunately I might have well, for the better or worse helped contribute to your propel you being propelled in the spotlight because I actually hurt AB like when we was in training camp. He had that
The
shoulder injury,
hamstring, the
hamstring.
shoulder.
Yeah, it was a shoulder and a hamstring injury,
Yeah.
and he was
I
he
did
was
not know
cut
that.
blocking. Yeah, he was cut blocking me. I'm sorry, AB man. I'm just a dumb freshman trying to get out there. But like the point that you made, like you still were ready. It seems like, but it kind of like propelled you. Tell me a little bit from like just that interpersonal standpoint, bro. Like what that journey was like of you kind of being accelerated into being a starting role, and talk to me a little bit about like what were some of the challenges with like the success, but also like after a while you kind of lend it to sort of the ego and pride kind of getting to you. Tell me a little bit about what that might have looked like from you personally.
So I remember coming in to spring ball, and I was like seventh or eighth on the depth chart, and I was struggling. I couldn't like get the playbook down, just making mental errors. Um, and it was like, man, am I really cut out for this? Right? You start having those insecurities that all athletes kind of go through when you hit that rough spot because the game was just so much faster. And I wasn't really a big guy, right? I was probably weighing like 160 and having to go against guys that was 240, and then it was just tough, right? And then I remember going into a film session, and they used to give you grades of your practice, right? And I remember our running back coach at the time, he gave me my grade, and it was a 19%. Right, it
Wow.
was so low. And
Yeah.
I remember AB actually said, I'd never seen a score that low. And man, you talk about being on the bottom of the bottom. And it was talks about moving me to cornerback because I just wasn't
Mm.
picking it up. And then I remember being at the bus stop one day, and upperclassman just said, "Man, just slow down and enjoy playing." And next thing you know, I started getting better and better and better and better and better to the point where I was starting to make a name for myself amongst my teammates of how I developed, within that short amount of time. And I really can't attest to how that happened. It just kind of naturally happened. And then we go into that next season. We still got our two all conference running backs. I was projected to just redshirt. It was a time for me just to continue to learn and develop. And then, like you said, AB got hurt. He had a terrible first game that we almost lost to, I believe, like a D2 school.
Hmm.
And then that next week, Coach Mickey Matthews said, "I'm pulling your red shirt. You're gonna play." And I remember being like so nervous, so scared. And I just went out there and played. I played well enough that they gave me the start the following game. And the second play of the game, my first touchdown was, I think it was like a 60 something yard touchdown. And from there, I didn't look back. And I think everything just happened so fast,
Hmm.
right? Because now I'm one of the I'm a soul I'm a reason as to why our team was successful,
For
right?
sure.
From going to red shirt to being on the bottom of the depth chart.
It was good, family. Better Late Than Never is more than just an album. It's a concept that it's never too late for us to change our mindsets and our lifestyles. This project was exclusively produced by my homeboy, Matlock, who has produced for some of the best artists in the world, including Lil Wayne. You guys can catch this project and stream it on all platforms, including Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, you name it, it's there. As you guys tune in to Better Late Than Never, it's my prayer that this project helps you to live a purpose-driven life. Be blessed.
To making a name for myself amongst the coaches and players to being say, hey, you're gonna redshirt, you're not gonna play this year, but just learn and continue to grow, to being like thrust into the starting lineup and then starting to play so well that the other team is scheming up to kind of stop you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the part that no one really talks about. When people around campus start to know your name, right? You
Mm.
get to go to the parties, and now the girls who weren't checking for you before, they start checking for you, right? You know what I mean? So you try to stay humble. You try to say to yourself like, yeah, I got some humility, but you start to feed into it a little bit, and then your family is seeing it too, right? And so your family is like, oh man, this dude might can make it. And so it's not
Mm-hmm.
like you anymore. It
Yeah.
becomes we. Like, oh, we gonna do this.
Yeah.
And it was just so much going on where no one can really prepare you for it. Even if, as I talk about it, no one can really prepare you for what spotlight looks like if you necessarily never been through it. Um, and my ego just I remember my ego is just got so big. Because everybody's telling you how good you are, how great you are. Now I'm all conference. I got this big plaque on the wall. You know what I mean? And it's just I it was easier for me when I was trying to obtain something, when I was just um trying to get to a place on the depth chart, right? And nobody is like the underdog mentality. Is it That's one thing. The other thing is like when you top dog, right?
Yeah.
It I just wish people kind of understood the pressure that came with it. No, it comes with it. That's just the nature of the beast. But like I said, I just wasn't quite prepared for like big time college football like Jamie was at the time. That's all.
Yeah. Man, it's so crazy that you say that because even now, Gene, like being your actual teammate, I never would have imagined that pressure from the family standpoint, right? Like oh snap, he kind of bubbling up. He's making some traction, but
Mm-hmm.
that feedback of like, oh yeah, we about to make it. We about to make it to the league. We about
Right.
to get to the bag. I would have never have thought about that being a pressure from you. And so I can't even imagine like for you interpersonally kind of navigating because we get cussed out quite often from the coach from a performance standpoint. So you always have that there that you have to manage. But then you mentioned like, all right, you're on campus and all these shorties are starting to look at Mr. Eugene Holloman balling out. So that's a temptation to navigate. And you being, you're 18 to 20 years old, 22 years old, bro. Like, come on, like anybody's
Yeah.
gonna fumble the bag. And then on top of that, you talked about just coming like maybe family or community-based pressure. So I had no sense of idea like that would have been a struggle for you. So I appreciate you sharing. I'm curious from you, man. So and the other thing I would say is like you talked about sort of on the front end, like prior to the success of like really hitting a wall, it sounds like, in terms of camp. I can relate a lot to that. I went into like my freshman year with a lot of expectations, like, oh, I'm about to really step in here and ball out. I'm about to make a name. But I had my like, Arthur Most, he was my roommate. Like he played 10 years in the league.
Right.
We had another guy, Hassan, who's an all conference type of player. But then you had K Dub. Like K Dub is arguably the best defensive end I've personally ever seen.
Oh,
Right.
without a doubt.
You know what I'm
Without a
saying?
doubt.
And so like coming in, I think that I had unrealistic expectations for me. That long story short, I never attained that. Like I never was able to navigate my insecurity, but also the physical and mental demand. So I never reconciled. And I'm 37. And in hindsight, I've had to work through the trauma of like disappointment, like my own failure. So I really appreciate you
Yeah.
processing that out loud. Tell me in your words, man, because like you've had the privilege of seeing like some of the highest success in on a college level, and to obviously overcoming some personal resiliency, but also finishing, your education. Like in your own words, how would you kind of characterize or summarize like your learning experience from college that might be, transferable to somebody else that might be considering similar route you went?
Yeah, I think so. When I think about college, I went to college, to be honest with you. I went to college to play football.
Yeah.
I majored in football.
Major in football. That's right.
Right. And I remember sitting with the academic counselor, and he basically was like, yo, all of your credits from junior college transfer to this particular major. Right. And I'm just like, okay, cool. Like just give me the easiest thing where I don't have to like spend hours studying or really apply myself. Because I spent so much time trying to prepare my body, watching film, prepare for the next game. Because you in college, you're only good as your last game. And you
Yeah.
know, if you don't continue to perform, they go get somebody in there quick. I can't really speak on a professional level because I never played there, but if college was like, that's how college was, right?
Yeah.
You hyped up, you can celebrate on Sunday, but it's back to business come. We get
Mhm.
the off day on Monday, it's back to business on Tuesday. We're preparing for the next game. Forget what you did the last game. Um, but I say that to say I didn't apply myself when it
Mhm.
came to my education. And then I graduated, one of the first in my family or the first in my family to graduate. But at that time in 2008, 2009, I remember before going to college, they say as long as you get a degree from a prestigious university, you're not going to have trouble finding a job, right? But 2008, 2009, in the middle of a recession, it
The wrong
mattered what you
time.
majored in.
Yes,
You
it
know what I
did.
mean? So I was going trying to figure out, all right, what I wanted to do with my life. I was applying everywhere. I couldn't find a job. Um, that's when it hit me. It was like, man, you didn't take this thing serious. Yeah, you got this degree from James Madison University, one of the best schools in Virginia, but these employers didn't care. And so that's when I realized, like, man, I kind of had to reinvent myself
Wow.
and start from the bottom, just like I did when I came to JMU, and try to build myself up to be employable.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I know I didn't want to do manual labor, so I tried to try to figure it out. I was like, I need to be sitting behind a desk somewhere, crunching numbers or running meetings. I didn't know to be exact, but that journey was long. And so I remember my first job. I started working two jobs. I worked at Joseph A. Banks, which is a suit retailer, right? And I think about it now, that was pivotal because I
Mm.
didn't own a suit and I had to get a suit to wear to work every time. But it was like a lot of fine suits, and it kind of taught me how to kind of put on a blazer and a tie and some nice shoes. And then I was a elementary school tutor.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was tough because I was at elementary school tutor around the area that I grew up, and for some reason the head lady put all the bad kids under me because she thought I was cool and they would think that I was cool. But no, they did not think I was cool. They was bad. And then you know what I mean? And then I just kind of took jobs and jobs and I started entry level at a place called Anthem, which is a healthcare organization. And I started entry level making $11 an hour. And then one of our teammate Marvin Brown, he was working there too, but he was a part of this leadership development program. And you know how competitive we are. I saw Marvin was in this program. And I was like, man, I need to get in this program.
Yeah.
And I did everything possible, man. And I got into a leadership development program and just started building up my business acumen. And I'm at the point where I'm at now.
Better late than never, better late than never, forever hard to measure. I might see my future fall away, but you control time, so my future do what you say.